Alright, so I'm going to try and hook up this CPU cooler, and this has the double 120 millimeter fans. When you first get this, it's going to have two fans on the radiator like this. The reason I'm saying this is because when you see mine, it will not have these two fans on there, because I would be lying if I said I had not opened this up already and installed it. I looked for videos online, and when I looked for videos online, I couldn't really find anybody that wasn't skipping parts of the so-called tutorial on how to do it. So I'm going to try to remedy that by showing you how I did it, and yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we opened it up, and here's my radiator. As you can see, I have already removed the fans off of this. It's simple, it's just 4 screws in each fan. You can mount those fans on either side depending on what your tower requires. I took off the fans because I want to keep my LED fans on my case, because the fans that come with this are not LED fans. When you take off these fans, remember to keep these long screws that come out of those fans, because you need those to go through your existing fans in order to reach the radiator. So we're going to need these screws, so don't discard them. That's if you take off the fans. If you don't take off the fans, you don't have to worry about this. So let's go ahead and get started with the fans. Alright, so my 3 fans are located in the front of my tower. I want to remove the top 2 fans to connect those to the radiator. And this is why I want to remove the top 2 instead of the bottom 2. I want to remove the top 2 fans because these hoses on the radiator should be at the highest peak in your tower, so that the pump doesn't have to work as hard, or maybe you can't get the coolant to circulate through the hoses if it's too low. And you don't want that pump to burn out, because that pump burns out, that's really gonna, it's gonna be a real buzzkill. So by removing my fans, I had to come inside and remove them. So inside the case, you just remove all 4 corners of the fans. You're probably going to need a small screwdriver to make sure you get your hands in there, or you can take out your video card and other things to get to them. So my fans are already disconnected. I don't have to disconnect them, I just have them up here to show you. So once we take all the screws out, when you take your fan off of the frame, be sure not to pull it, because I mean, you're going to have wires, Alright, so inside, what you're going to want to do, just watch out for the hoses and where they're going when you're doing this. You're just going to want to set this up on the back. It's got these pre-drilled holes where I took the fans out from earlier, and you're going to want to line those up with the front, so that when you put your fans on, of course you're going to use the long screws to go through your fan into the radiator. Alright, so when you're mounting this, make sure that you have all the mounting holes visible to you. Last thing you want to do is put these at the wrong ones, mount the top fan or something, and then come down here and find out that 1 or 2 of them don't match up. So make sure you have all these visible. Let's see here. Remember which way your fans go. Make sure that you're not going to destroy any of the cords. You can see one of my cords is coming out right there. I'm going to have to fix that before I go on. So right here, I have a cord coming out. Make sure that you kind of look at those and make sure you fix that before you put it on. Alright, so we want to get that back to where we were. I have a screw already on there, so I can just kind of get that first one in there, even if it's a little bit. So this, get my second one started. So now you kind of, if I let go, the fan will stay up there. Obviously I'm going to tighten them down, but the fan will stay up there, and you should be able to do that with both. Remember, make sure that your cords to your fans are not sticking out. You're not going to crunch them down if you remove the fans from the radiator. If you did not, don't worry about the cord part, obviously. And then we'll move to the inside here after we get all this put on there. Alright. Again, I've already been through this on my own, so I apologize for the fan not being on there. But normally this fan just kind of sits up in here, and this wire is plugged into the fan slot up here. You can easily remove these off the processor. Many of us probably know how. There's a little clip on it. You just pop that clip over, and this has some leeway, and just, you know, carefully take it off the mounts. Yeah, so for AMD, you're going to have these mounts here. I'm not sure about Intel, never owned one, but we're going to want to take these mounts off. We don't want those on there. Those are going to be in the way, and we need to remove those. Alright, so these are the clamps I'm talking about right here. This is so that your fan had something to basically lock onto. Is my camera blurry? I can't see if my camera's blurry. But we need to take those off. Those were here, now they're not. With the AMD, as far as I know, I don't know if it's just my board or the majority of boards, I don't know how it works. But I'm assuming it's the majority of boards because this thing did not come with a bracket for the back end because we already have one. For Intel, if you're using an Intel processor, you're going to want to use this little base mount that they had provided in the box. So I'm not really sure how to install this. It looks pretty simple. I believe you just kind of place it in the back. You probably have to take off the other side of the tower and just mount this up there, and you'll be able to mount the rest of the fixings here. So with the AMD one, we want to use these AMD, I don't know if these are spacers or what they are, but when you're using these, make sure, trying to get in focus here, it's hard because it's small. When you're using these, make sure you look at the threads. There's like a fat side and kind of a skinnier, longer side. We want to use the fatter, shorter side to go into the mount here, the back plate mount. These, I don't know if these, we're supposed to use these with these, but I opened up another wrapper and I'm just using these little washers that were already in one of the baggies. So I'm just putting that over the fat part here, and you're just gonna go ahead and screw those right in. If you're fighting with it, it should go on really simple. If you're fighting with it, it's because you did like I did and you put it in the wrong way. So we don't want to do that. We want to use that. Make sure that you're using the thicker end, not the skinnier, longer end. Alright, I'm just putting a washer on the end of it like that, and I'm screwing that spacer directly into the back plate there. Just like that. So yeah, we'll just get all 4 of those done. Alright, so when you're all done, you should have all 4 of these spacers in here. That's what I'm calling them, spacers. So all 4 of those should be mounted. Alright, so now that we got all 4 of those in there, we need to change out this bracket, because from what I understand, it comes out of the box with the Intel bracket. We want to change it to the AMD bracket. Of course, if you're using Intel, this is going to work just fine, but we don't have Intel. So all you're going to want to do is take this and just turn it counterclockwise. You don't have to do it really hard, and it'll pop right off. So now we can just move that off to the side and grab the one for the AMD. Alright, so with the AMD, this cord coming out is going to be the top of your mount here. You're just going to put that on like that and pop it over clockwise, and it'll just go right on there. It's really easy. Alright, so flip it back over. Make sure you're not kinking your hoses. I don't know if it's possible, but that would really suck. Kind of move the wires out of the way and place it on your spacers. Because if you remember, That's what we're calling them. I use these knobs that they came with. I believe this is the correct thing to use because I don't see anything else that would work. So just go ahead and place these knobs on all four corners. You don't have to wrench them down or nothing. Just make sure they're snug. Alright, so the next thing that I wanted to do was, you can probably see it here, it's the USB cord for the fan. If it's blurry, I apologize. There's only one cord in there, I believe, so this is going to be the one. This plugs into just underneath this here. You'll see if I'm going the right way here, you'll see a little slot right there for it, and that just plugs right into there. Now the other end I got hooked up still because that was really a pain in the butt for me to get. But what you're going to want to look for is you're going to want to look for your USB slots on your motherboard. They don't look like the USBs on the outside of the board. It's different. They have 8 pins, I believe. So you want to find those. And within the pin set, it should say USB on them. Now, I don't know if I can kind of do my tripod here. See mine. Let's see if I can get that in there. Focus. So these are on the bottom of my board, way down here. There's my USB slots. Now I assume that on everybody's board is probably the same thing. This light's probably super bright. I apologize if you can't see it. But yeah, you want to find that USB. You want to find that USB slot, and you want to plug the other into that. Alright, so the next two cords here are going to be to the motherboard and to your fans. Now, if you remove the fans and you don't need these because you didn't reinstall the fans into your computer and you used your old fans which are already hooked up, then you probably don't need to connect these to anything. You might want to just do a little wire management and keep them out of the way. But yeah, so like I said, the older one was a 4-pin fan, and that was located right above my processor. But this one is a 3-pin. So there's a 3-pin one. Let's see. Mine says a system fan, so you're going to want to plug that into the system fan. And make sure that's also going the correct way because you don't want to put that in backwards or bend any prongs in the process. So you can do a little wire management. I don't know how everybody does it. I just tucked mine in like that a little bit, just to kind of have it out of the way. So on mine, I had installed those fans from the EVGA cooler or the radiator to the top of my tower, just so I can have more fans, I guess. So if you can mount those and you want to, that's great, but those fans will plug into these ones here. Okay, I got it all hooked up, so let's see if we can fire this up and hopefully no sparks, nothing weird, right? Alright. Ooh, nice. Camera, oh, look at that. Lights up in the middle there. That's kind of cool. Alright. Yeah, I like that. Okay. Everything's working. I'm going to have to test it out on some games, of course, and make sure that that fan doesn't rev up, which I don't think it will because there is no fan. So that's going to be awesome. And I didn't have to sacrifice any of my front LEDs by taking those two fans off and placing that over the radiator instead. And by mounting the two top fans onto my computer, they seem to be working nice, even though I plugged those ones in to the coolant or mount bracket. So yeah, this is my first video. I hope this helps anybody that had problems. If not, I apologize, and stay safe, everyone.